Hey, what's going on YouTube? Adam C here. Thanks for watching. Adam C Solo on Instagram if you guys want to find me on Instagram. But I currently have 685 gallons worth of fish tanks running, but I've never done an update on every single tank within one video. So we're going to start that today. And just for dramatic purposes, we'll go from smallest tank to largest tank. So stay tuned and hope you enjoy. So we will start at this 10 gallon, and this is the tank that I have those pleco babies in. If you go back a couple of videos, you'll see I had some plecos hatch, and there's 7 living in here. So here's a 10 gallon. There's a little pleco right there. You guys can see him. He's got a nice, white blaze on his tail there. Pardon for the sound quality. This tank is on the floor, so I'm on my hands and knees filming this, but even though there is 7 in here, you guys won't be able to see them. These guys are like ninjas. The second I turn a light on, they all bury under here. But rest assured, I'll have plenty of updates coming on these baby plecos in the future. So, moving on. This is the next 10 gallon that I have. These are about, 6/10 of an inch. Something like that. These are Mylochromis spilostitius macacola reef. There are about 55 in here. Doing very well. Growing very, very quickly. Not that exciting of a view, but they're part of the 685 gallons, so I'm going to show everybody today. On to the 20 gallons. This is a 20 long, and I'm laying on my side to record this, as you can see by the carpet that's right there. 20 long, these are also Mylochromis spilostitius macacola reef. I'm done saying macacola reef, so we'll move on from that. But these guys are almost an inch, pretty close to it, and there are, believe it or not, there's 75 in here. It doesn't look like that, but that's how many there are. Okay, on to the next tank. This is the last 20 gallon that I have, and this is, again, more Mylochromis spilostitius. As you can see, these parents are quite prolific. They breed all the time. Usually I end up having to take the male out so the females can have a break. If they're breeding non-stop, I feel like they never eat. But there are about 50 to 60 in here. And they're really cool fish. Sorry, I just did a water change, so it's pretty cloudy in there, and they're waiting for me to feed them. So from here, we'll move up to 2 40-gallon breeder tanks that I have. So let's check them out. So behind my 20-gallon long and my 10-gallon pleco tank, I have a 40 breeder. Again, I just did a water change, so these fish are all kind of hiding. So you probably can't see them very well. But there is, I believe, 48 or 49 Buccochromis rhodocite yellow F1 fry in here. And since this tank looks so terrible, we're just going to move on very quickly. Here is my other 40-gallon breeder. These fish are doing very, very well. These are also Mylochromis spilostitius. And there is, I believe, almost 50 in here. And they are 2 inches plus. There's some in here that are probably 2 1/4 inches. These guys are growing like crazy. And before too long, they're going to come out of this 40-gallon because you can't have, over 42-inch fish in a 40-gallon with just 2 sponge filters and expect it to still be filtered very well at all. But these guys are doing very well. These are the largest juveniles that I currently have. If you consider, I guess, baby / juveniles. They're waiting to be fed. And now we'll move up into the larger tanks. Here is a 75-gallon tank that you guys have never seen on my channel yet. And this holds the parents of the Mylochromis spilostitius. There's 2 males, 2 females. The 2 males are stunning, but they're very timid because there's only 4 fish. If you have such a low number of fish, They just seem to be timid, even though it's a generally large and somewhat even aggressive species at times. But to try to bring them out, I'm going to go ahead and put some food in there and see if they come out. You can kind of see him a bit there. That's the male. He is an absolute stunner. If he doesn't come out, just know that the thumbnail is a picture of the male. You see right there. So let's feed them and see if we can get them out of here for viewing purposes. See a lot of nice blue, yellow, and almost a purple on these fish. And again, that male there, he goes after those females all the time. They're always breeding. More than likely, I'm going to move him into the 220 gallon very shortly, just so the females can have a breather and eat some food. You can see they're pretty timid just because there's not enough fish in this tank. I've considered growing some out and adding them, but really the fish in here are 6 to 7 inches, so I would have to grow out younger Mylachromis for pretty close to a year to be able to add them to this tank and not be eaten, and I just don't have the tank space for that. But anyway, they're doing very, very well, breeding all the time, eating well, and I'm really happy to have them. Now let's get into the 6-foot long tanks. This is the 6-foot 125, and in here I have 12 F1 Buccochromis heterotania juveniles. They are about 3 inches by now. Some of the smaller ones are still probably slightly under 3 inches. But man, do they grow quickly. I also have one wild-caught Buccochromis lepturus green female right there. I just put her in here with some smaller fish so she's not harassed by the larger Buccolepturus group that I have in my basement. But you can see the tank looks great. Well, in my opinion, it looks great, so that's up to you guys. But the background is a Universal Rocks background. This is the crystal wall. And I also have the stackable rocks to go with it. They all match in a castle gray color. This tank is filtered with a Sun 304B, as well as you can see a sponge filter over here that is rated for 125 gallons. It's a Bacto Surge filter. I think that's the brand name. And these guys just grow like crazy. In all honesty, these heterotanias probably won't be able to stay in here for more than maybe 1.5 to 2 years. They grow, they can grow 12 to 16 inches very easily with the height of a Protomelis type fish. So when you have a long fish and they're also tall, they really need a large tank. So with a group of 12, I anticipate they'll be able to live in here for maybe another year until they're 8 to 10 inches in size, in which time I'm gonna have to make some decisions what I want to do with them. But so far I'm really happy with them. You can see this background I'm loving. If you look really closely, there's some algae growing on it that kind of waves with the water. It makes it look very natural. So if you step back and take a look, the tank overall, even though it's meant to be a grow out tank, it's still very visually pleasing. So now my 2 show tanks, which inside I plan to show you guys as well. So let's go check it out. This 125 I'm really excited about right now, and the reason is I have a group of 4 wild-caught Tenioleptronot furcicata in here, and I've never kept this fish before. I have 1 male, 4 females. Here's the male here. You may not be able to tell on the video, but he's just starting to get a little bit of that aqua green on his face and egg spots on his anal fin there. Let's step back here a little bit. I'm being accompanied by my fish room assistants. There's Maya. Maya, say hello. I don't go anywhere in this house without my 2 fish room assistants, which are 2 rescue boxers from the local dog rescue. But back to point. Again, I've never had these guys before, and I really think they're not far off from breeding. The male is about 7 inches. The females are 6 inches for the 2 larger ones, and about 4 inches for the smaller ones. So they are in a 125. The background is also from Universal Rocks. This is the rocky background. It's probably the thinnest background that they have. So if you're looking for a nice background which will also provide space for your tank and not take up too much. This is probably something you might enjoy. And I also have some river rocks in here that have glossed over with a nice green algae look to them. So I've got big things in mind for these guys, not too far off in the future, and hopefully I'll be showing you a breeding video in the near future if all works out. So on to the biggest tank, and the tank that I've had running for probably close to a decade now. So here is my 220 gallon all Hap tank. It used to be all males, but now I have some females in here as well, which is causing difficulties for me. So for the most part, I just have various males that I've collected over the years that are my personal favorites. Like the Star Sapphire, he's really big. He's almost 7 years old now, I would imagine. What was sold to me is a Protomelis hirtae, but as he's a wild caught, but as he's grown, I'm fairly certain that he is a Protomelis ornatus. And honestly, that happens with fish that are wild caught like he is. You know, these are collected wild from the lakes, and now and again, fish that are very, very similar, like an ornatus and a hirtae, they can be mistaken when they are caught. So this was sold to me as a hirtae, but I really think it's an ornatus by the size of his lips and his coloration. So you guys that are familiar with Protomelis out there, let me know your thoughts, but I'm fairly certain this is an ornatus. And side note, I don't really care because he's 8 inches and he's probably the favorite fish that I've ever owned. So he's also probably 7 or 8 years old now. From there, I've got various male haps like a lithobate sulfurhead, like a black-orange dorsal. I've got a Cyanochromis nyasae back there, wild caught, Cyanochromis samophilus. From my last video, my Dimidiochromis dimidiatus, really looking cool. Never had one before. Well, I had one a long time ago, but I didn't give him a chance to mature. So I should say my first mature Dimidiochromis dimidiatus. Here is a Copetochromis azuris, looking really, really nice. Tilapia rhodocii, and he is in here for one specific reason. I've said this before, but if you look at my substrate, you'll see there are snail shells scattered all about if you look really, really closely. I do have an infestation of Malaysian trumpet snails in here, and they actually are a positive for your tank if you can control them, just because they stir up your substrate and prevent the buildup of gas pockets. But if you cannot control them, they will get into your filters and clog up your impellers and all that stuff. But Chilorhodocii, they love to eat snails. So all the shells you just saw are because he has crushed them and eaten them. So if you have a Malaysian trumpet snail infestation, just get you a Tilapia rhodocii and you'll see nothing but scattered dead shells everywhere. And the problem that I'm having with this 220 is I recently got a group of wild-caught Buccochromis lepturus green, 2 males, 3 females. Again, you saw earlier, one of the females I have out in the Heterotania tank to grow out. So that leaves 2 males and 2 females in this 220. And these males are just so aggressive, not just to each other, but also to these females. I mean, I could stand here for 5 seconds and you'll see it. There's the male right there at the top. You can see him. All he does all day long is chase around these females and the other male. So far, no one is getting hurt, but for such an expensive group of fish, it's almost stressful to have to keep an eye on them and have to do something different if some of them do get hurt, just because of the value of the fish. So I guess that's the problem with sometimes keeping African cichlids is, I guess in your mind you picture a certain thing, you picture a nice relaxing tank, and that's not always the case. I mean, these guys, once the light comes on, this dominant male right here, he chases every single Buccochromis in this tank. So far it's okay. He hasn't injured any of them, but you know how that goes. It's just a matter of time, I feel like, and I don't know what else I can do, but I'm gonna hold on to the group for now. If it gets to the point where I feel like I'm not able to enjoy this tank any longer, I don't care what I spent on the wild cut group, I will sell the group. because that's just not the purpose of me getting into the hobby. So hope you guys enjoyed. Again, you can follow me on Instagram at AdamCSolo, and I'll see you all next time.